What the Bible isn't just an ancient book of religious teachings, but instead a mirror reflecting your own life, a narrative told not through mere stories, but through symbols, lessons, and raw, unfiltered human truths. The Bible speaks to all of us, whether we acknowledge it or not. This isn't meant to be a theological lecture. It's a journey, a path that resonates with your own fears, failures, small victories, doubts, and quiet, persistent voice within that says, keep going. We're not here to study the Bible in a scholarly sense. Instead, we're going to live it through your own story. This is not a lesson in history. This is about walking through the life you've already lived. It's about your struggles, the things that keep you up at night, the battles you're still fighting, and the hope that refuses to die. From Genesis to Revelation, the Bible mirrors your life in its sacred metaphors and timeless truths. Let me tell you this story, not as a preacher or theologian, but as a mirror, a reflection of you. And perhaps, somewhere along the way, you will recognize yourself in the unfolding narrative. In the beginning, there was innocence. The story of Genesis speaks of a perfect world, a paradise called Eden, a place where everything was as it should be, untouched by pain, shame, or sorrow. It was a world of pure peace, untouched by the burdens that would later come. This part of the story is like the early years of your life. It's the part before the world imposed its expectations upon you, before society told you who you should be and how you should act. It's the time when you were simply you, living in harmony with everything around you. But then a choice was made: curiosity, disobedience, the fall, and suddenly the world that seemed perfect is no longer innocent. You realize that you are exposed, vulnerable. That realization is the first wound of growing up. When you first realize that the world isn't as kind or as simple as you once thought. Like Adam and Eve, we all experience this fall. We are expelled from childhood, from safety, from the warmth of home into a world that demands we survive. This is the beginning of your own exodus. It's when you leave behind the comforts of the past and enter the harsh desert of life, where everything is uncertain. Your Egypt might be a place filled with bad habits, addictions, toxic relationships, or deep-seated fears that hold you captive. At first, the journey out seems impossible. You long to return to the past, even if it's painful because at least it's familiar. But the desert, as harsh as it is, has a purpose. It teaches you discipline, strength, and perseverance. It's here that you discover the laws of life, the boundaries that will protect you and guide you as you journey forward. The desert is where your character is tested, where silence becomes a teacher, and where you realize that survival requires more than just desire. It requires endurance. As you walk through the desert, you begin to hear the voice of the prophets. They speak when you've lost your way, when you've forgotten who you are. These voices don't always speak softly. Sometimes they come as heartbreak, failure, or truths you'd rather avoid. But they're never meant to punish you. They're meant to awaken you. They pull back the veil on your distractions and comfort zones, reminding you that what you've allowed to become familiar is often not what you truly need. The prophet calls you back to your truest self, the one you buried beneath all the noise and confusion of the world. The prophet doesn't care about your excuses. They care about your awakening. Then there are the Psalms, the raw cries in the heart, the whispered prayers when you feel abandoned or misunderstood. You rage, you doubt, you grieve. And that's okay, because being human means feeling deeply. The Psalms show that even in your most vulnerable moments, there's a place for your pain, for your confusion, and for your questions. David, the great warrior king, wrote poems that were filled with depression, joy, fear, and love. His vulnerability wasn't a sign of weakness. It was his strength. It was his way of returning to God and ultimately to his own truth. Your vulnerability, too, can become your strength, a path back to who you really are, someone who isn't afraid to confront their pain and let it transform them. Amid all the noise, amidst confusion, comes a man, Jesus. He doesn't arrive in glory or with grand power, but in the dirt, amidst the outcasts, the broken, and the forgotten. His story isn't one of domination, but of compassion. He doesn't come with fire and brimstone, but with mercy and understanding. He challenges you not to love those who deserve it, but to love those who don't, to forgive, to let go. His story is not just about him. It's about every person who dared to love in a world that taught them to harden. It's about every person who's been broken but still found the strength to believe in something greater than themselves. His life is the blueprint for anyone who has ever gotten knocked down and had to rise again. But Jesus' love was costly. His death showed that. Sometimes the things you cherish most, whether it's a dream, a relationship, or a version of yourself, must die in order to allow for something better to be reborn. His resurrection shows that there is life after loss, that death doesn't have the final say. Sometimes, in letting go of what we thought we could never live without, we find a new version of ourselves, stronger, more capable, more compassionate. Then comes the mission. No longer do you walk alone. Acts tells a story of people who were once frightened and uncertain, who found courage and strength in the face of adversity. Healing isn't just about fixing yourself. It's about healing others. And healing is contagious. Your voice, your story, your struggles, your scars, they matter. You don't have to be perfect to make a difference. You just have to be real. You have to go, even when you're unsure of the outcome, because there's always someone else out there still in their Egypt, still needing to be freed. Paul's letters provide the wrestling match of faith. They speak of the frustrations of trying to live a righteous life, of the constant pull between your higher self and your ego. The journey is messy. You'll stumble. You'll fall. But grace isn't reserved for the perfect. It's for the persistent, for those who get up after every fall, who continue to strive even when the road is hard. Finally, we arrive at Revelation, a book that seems cryptic and filled with visions of destruction. Yet beneath its surface, there's a deeper truth. The story ends in light. Evil doesn't get the final word. Hope does. Love does. No matter how dark the world may seem at times, the story always ends with light breaking through the darkness. So maybe the Bible isn't just a collection of ancient stories meant for another time. Maybe it's a reflection of your own life, your fall, your desert, your songs of hope in the night, your rebirth, your calling, your victories. And perhaps the whole point of it all was never about religion, but about coming home.